Hello, beautiful ladies, and welcome to another Women's Hour. Thank you all very much for joining me. We had a last-minute change of schedule, and if any of you saw the originally reported topic and guest, that we're hoping to do that next week. But without dwelling on that too much, I'd like to welcome my beautiful ladies, panelists. Welcome back, Amy, my lovely lady friend.
Hello, lovely to be back. Since I got comments last time saying that my can of Coke was vulgar, I've got a little teacup and saucer.
You got Coke in there, have you?
Yeah.
Lovely. Welcome back, Cows.
Hello.
Hi. And for the first time, we have Helen joining us. Welcome, Helen.
Hi, thank you very much for having me.
No problem. Thanks for joining us. Always great to see new faces. And we have a very serious topic for you today, so I just got to open up my notes. But we got a comment on last week's video, not a paid super chat, but while I'm on the subject, please send in your super chat suggestions for topics. And as always, the highest bidding super chat will decide what our next topic to be discussed will be. That won't be next week, since that next week is going to be last week's suggested topic from Red Hawk. And this week is a topic that nobody asked for, basically. But next week, whoever gets the week after next week will be the highest bidding super chat from this week. So thanks everyone for that. I also, before I forget, I should tell you ladies that we had a not a winning super chat, but someone did suggest that we talk about how to make good, cheap, easy meals. Dinners, I guess. So if any of you are struck by inspiration and would like to talk about that some next week or another time, let me know, and we'll include that. But once again, they weren't the winner, but you know, we do honourable mentions. So this week we've got something that it was just a comment someone asked about what the panel considered to be a high value male. What are the qualities that women find attractive? But when I first saw that comment, I kind of at first I sort of discarded it, thinking that this was pretty trivial and that everyone knows that women are attracted to tall, rich, charismatic, smart men. And it's basically as simple as that. They like muscles and they like confidence, and it really leaves it at that. But then Amy pointed out that the fact that we all have like weird crushes, and I think all women have, and all people have like a strange, a guilty crush, someone that they find attractive without quite knowing why, or without them being sort of classically attractive in those ways. Maybe women especially. But the fact is that there is a lot more to attraction than just the obvious like headline things that get the kind of the averaged out of like what all women like. There's a lot of peculiarities in each individual woman that makes some interesting relationships sometimes, but it also makes some interesting crushes, which is what the subject of this stream will be. And I hope that we're going to be, for those of you out there watching who are yet to find your special someone, that person that you want to spend the rest of your life with, who you love more than anyone else in the world, I hope that this will give you confidence that there is someone out there who will like the extremely specific and weird things about you that no one else seems to like. Is that about what you said, Amy?
Yeah, I think we have comments saying what makes a high quality man, what makes a I dare you to define it in one case. And I thought that, because people on dating sites, like, what's it called? The one that everyone uses where you just like swipe right?
OkCupid?
No, the phone one.
Tinder? Tinder.
Tinder, yeah. Tinder, and like people on Tinder, like women on Tinder will have like all of these, like, you must have this, you must be this tall, you must have this, right? And then like on the other side, it sort of promoted this sort of attitude towards like being attractive is promoted by sort of manosphere kinds, and this sort of really quantifiable sort of attitude towards like finding a partner and finding men attractive is I just think is completely unrealistic. I don't think that's like necessarily how like most women see things.
Well, I think a man who's got a lot of things going for him, as they say, he might not get 100% of all women, but his hit rate, if he chats up a bunch, 100 women, or he sends DMs to dating sites or whatever, he's probably going to have a higher hit rate than someone who's ugly, poor, and short, for instance.
Well, I'm very anti dating site personally.
Yeah.
But...
Well, the fact is that I'm hoping that everyone watching this understands that you only need one. In your whole life, you only need to convince one person to fall in love with you. And that should be enough. If you marry that one and it all goes well, then if you're lucky, you never have to make another person fall in love with you for your entire life. And you've, doesn't matter what the average is, you just need to meet one. So I hope that's encouraging and not too depressing somehow. Should we get on to the thumbnail? I thought, like, what would be the absolute combination of the weirdest and the most well-known person who I could justifiably say that I have a crush on. And I thought,
you've got a crush on that elf?
He's a Ferengi from
I don't know what that is.
From Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And the weird thing about Deep Space Nine, I actually really love that show. And the weird thing is that he's not like he's not really the character I had a crush on the most, which would be Gul Dukat. But that's like, apart from the fact that he's an alien, Dukat is not a weird crush at all. Like he's absolutely like most obvious choice.
When I was growing up, because my parents watched Star Trek, and whenever I was growing up and I went in the room and they were watching Star Trek, it would always just be like people panicking in a control room with alarms going off and them like just bashing buttons. So now I think that Star Trek is just that. It's just people bashing buttons with alarms going off for half an hour every episode. It's just however many seasons of Star Trek, that is what it consists of as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, it's a bit like that. This is definitely going off topic, but the thing about Star Trek is they didn't really have much of a budget to do. Like the really expensive shots would be like the planets getting blown up or the space battles, like actually the things that are happening in space outside of the ship. That's all really expensive effects. The cheap thing to do is to show what's happening inside the ship with like rocks falling down and like cables like people running around and like they like shaking the screen. They make it look like there's a rumbling inside. Like that's way cheaper to do. So that I can understand why you think that. These days, Star Trek, they've got like much larger budget and they can do CGI easier. So it's all space battles and shooting, and I long for the olden days of Star Trek. Cows and Helen, are you Star Trek fans?
I prefer Star Wars.
I've seen it briefly. I haven't really watched much of it. Sci-fi isn't really my genre of choice, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I think Helen, you said you like Star Wars, which is I think Star Wars has much grosser aliens. Like they have the human characters. And they have like the sexy lady aliens with the like tentacles. I don't know what it's called, like Ahsoka Tano. But then like a lot of the aliens are just like gross. Like they're really not attractive at all. But the Star Trek, again, because of the budget limitations, I'm guessing it's all just humans with like a small amount of prosthetic and makeup on their face. So they're much hotter aliens. Since there's no one on the panel who's watched Deep Space Nine, I'm not going to indulge myself and go off on a long rant about what it is I find attractive about Quark, but we've lost Helen. Please come back to us, Helen. I don't know. He's a business owner. He's kind of he's devious. He's smart. He's like very he's very greedy with money. Not that that's like an attractive quality, but it is like he's just kind of funny and cool. He's definitely not like well liked among people on the show, but I think he's kind of a fan favorite because he's funny. So
he sounds like a stereotype.
He's certainly a stereotype, Amy. But before I embarrass myself too much, do you want to go on to your first weird crush, Amy? And maybe we can learn something about well, all the simps in the chat are like desperately write that down.
I sent pictures so that you didn't need to Google them as we were doing it. So I thought my first one would be Raul Julia as Gomez Adams, and like the Addams Family Values was my favorite film from like quite a young age. Like I think that film is exceptional. That is one of the best films ever made, as far as I'm concerned.
Sorry? Which one is that? That's the one where Uncle Fester falls in love with the hot
Debbie,
lady
with Jane Cossack. Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
I want to specifically highlight. I mean, he in general, he's just a great, a fantastic man. He's got like an incredible amount of like duty and devotion to his entire family. To like, he's like this sort of weird, you know, isolated aristocrat that's like just got this like extreme devotion to his brother and to his children. But like his devotion to Morticia is just like second to none. And I think that if the dance scene this photo is a part of is an exceptional example of why, because there's a scene in that dance scene where he kisses all the way up from her arm to her face and she goes like that, right? And I think that this is really important because I think that men have a tendency to generally treat women as a pair of like mammary glands with a slot in between them. And I think that this has been brought up a few times, specifically by Red Hawk, of like, what's the point if like you get this like trad wife and she just doesn't want to, you know, do the dirty with you. And I think that Gomez Adams is a perfect example of like creating romance and appreciating a woman, because you cannot imagine Gomez Adams with any other woman on earth other than Morticia. And I think that the reason why is because he dedicates himself to like her specifically. Like even like her arm, right, is a symbol of like eroticism for him. And I think that, you know, if men just need to channel that inner Gomez Adams, right? Even if, you know, add some variety. If her arm isn't that attractive, you know, pretend it is, because in the long term it is worth it. And also I think he's physically attractive as well. But I think that's the main reason why I picked him. He is a true gentleman, yes.
Yeah, no, I think I've seen a lot of people say that these are relationship goals, like the Morticia and Gomez Adams, like they have like the perfect marriage, like they're so romantically, like, you know, they're in love with each other, like you know, like they're still on their honeymoon, like you can imagine that like their love is just so intense, and it's so it's sexual but in a really PG way, you know, like, kind of like you described, but it like that just makes it kind of all the more romantic, I think.
Yeah, and it makes it more you know, if you adding, you know, variety to things makes things more enjoyable.
All right, I think it's someone else's turn. Thank you very much, Amy. So was there anything from Cows or Helen, or should we go on to the next crush?
I mean, for me, I never really like would crush on characters, but I feel like my my type has kind of been influenced by like my favorite characters of things. And this is going to sound like very bizarre, but like if anyone has played Grand Theft Auto 5, my favorite was Trevor Phillips, and in Seinfeld, like my favorites were always like Kramer and George, like just like men that are like, they're like oddly successful with women, but are kind of like psychotic, don't really have their stuff together, if you will. But I don't know. It's I feel like that has kind of influenced my taste, if that makes sense. Just kind of unpredictable, kind of spontaneous, a little crazy. It works.
I completely know what you mean. I think one of the other triggers to this conversation was when maybe I should share the original tweet, which actually triggered me to want to. If I close that, then you're going to see my DMs. I've made this mistake before. I've got to stop sharing, then I've got to find what I want to put on. I'm learning, guys. I'm getting better at the streaming thing. If I find if I go to my profile. As you'll know, just to catch up the Americans, the the Conservatives in the UK, the Conservative Party, are trying to elect a new leader, and we're absolutely not going to talk about it, except for the fact that I need to share this meme that I found on Facebook and then shamelessly stole for my own purposes. Can you see that? So it's a clip from Black Books where Bernard Black, the bookshop owner, he has to make an impossible choice this time between Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss. But instead of it being two things that he equally loves, it's two things that he hates equally. And he says, I just have to hope that when I flip a coin, it somehow explodes and kills me. He's got this brilliant, like, sarcastic delivery of these lines, and he perfectly embodies that completely chaotic, really, he's sort of seriously messed up, like, life. Like, this is not a guy who, like, wakes up at 6 and has a shower and goes to the gym and, like, is really productive. Like, his life is, like, held together by, a few bits of tape that are losing their stick. And I don't know why that's so... it is something kind of attractive about that, just to go off what you were saying, Cal.
Yeah.
Is the ultimate Sigma male in that he's found a way to exist in life and survive in a way where he doesn't need to flatter anyone. He doesn't need to answer to anyone. He doesn't need to please anyone, not even the people that come into his bookshop. He can just lie around and drink wine and be self-destructive, and there's something attractive by that. It's like, you know, when Ed Dutton said, like, people get tattoos, it's like, look, I can physically scar myself in this ridiculous way, I'm still successful. It's like Bernard Black can just sort of like be Bernard Black and still exist, and that's attractive.
Yeah, he's go on.
Sorry, do you think something attractive about that man is that he seems so unromantic? It's kind of like a dream for a woman to be lovely enough for him to find you beautiful and to find you captivating, right? To be that woman who sort of tames that crazy.
I can fix him.
Yeah,
there is an episode where that happens. The Summer Girlfriend, where she
I hate that episode. To be honest, I hate that. Like that girl is so basic. It really annoys me that he would be into her.
But she's lovely.
She's fine. That really messy, that mop of messy hair, like that, like slight amount of like that 2-day stubble. It's really just perfect. The comedian Dylan Moran, like, he's not a bad looking guy, but as Bernard Black, it's like whatever like raw material he's working with is just amplified by like 100 times. He's so
he is. You know, there is a little bit of Bernard Black within him, and that's where it came from, I think.
If anyone who hasn't seen Black Books, you might know him from Shaun of the Dead. He was one of the sort of tertiary characters in that. Was he the one? He says he's not an accountant, and then Simon Pegg's character says, "Well, you look like one."
I haven't seen it in like 10 years.
It's a brilliant film. Yeah, so that's I don't know what, like, I think a lot of these characters have that in common, where they're really not extremely competent, put together characters, but something about that is kind of alluring. But Helen, did you come equipped with a crush?
No, I'm afraid not. But I do remember my style of crushes when I was like a teenager. It would be kind of gothy, like vampires, like mysterious, powerful, deadly, or the bad guy. Just any bad guy. Again, I think at that age, I was really interested in being lovely enough to sort of tame the beast. But my tastes have just changed as I've gotten older.
Yeah, there's definitely a ring of truth to Beauty and the Beast thing. Like the, I don't know if there's a film that does it better than that, but the idea that the guy, the more kind of rude and aggressive the guy is, the more you kind of want to fix him. I love that film as well. And the Beast is so cute after he's being mid-tamed, and when they go like for a little date in the snow and drinking porridge and stuff. And she actually, the weird thing is that there's a scene taken out of that film where she's teaching him to read, because he's such a beast, he's forgotten how to read. And like, honestly, like, not being able to read is not an attractive quality in a man, and yet it kind of works. because he really loves listening to her reading, and he's actually into the story. It's just that he's forgotten the mechanical ability to read. Not that he's not interested in books like Gaston. Something that I saw from, I think we must have brought up weird crushes on an other episode of Women's Hour, because I guess that was when I was talking about girl crushes, the kind of prequel to this episode. We got a weird crushes comment where someone said that a lot of guys who played Halo have a weird like bro crush on the Arbiter from Halo 2, and I'm guessing not a lot of you are I can't see your face, Cows. I'm guessing no from Amy, but you like video games, Cows?
Yeah, and I think I've heard about that as well. I can see where that comes from, honestly.
There's something about these alien characters, I think, where they're not really handsome or attractive, because they can't be, right? Because their faces aren't even human. But they're not ugly. Like, it's really hard for someone with a completely inhuman face, like the Arbiter. I've got to find a picture of him, right? He's neither attractive nor unattractive, right? He's just like, there's a personality and there's a vaguely like bipedal shape to him. But I don't know if like men find it easier to like connect with that kind of character. Like, it's less that straight men are disgusted by the idea of getting with a man, but when it's like an alien who doesn't look like a man or a woman, they're like the fragile sexuality starts to like wane a little bit, and they think he's so cool.
Even with the non-humanness of the character, you can definitely see like very human qualities in it as well that I think that men would find appealing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at pictures here. He's kind of animalistic. I gotta say, like, I have played this game, but it was a long time ago. I don't really remember this character at all, except that I remember his name, or rather his title. That's some fan art. I don't know, like, looking at the screenshots, like, you can barely even tell what's going on because it's all the same color. But is it even worth finding a picture at this point? That's a good picture. Oh. Sorry, I've got dead air here. Let's try it. It did put me in mind of Garrus from Mass Effect. If anyone's played, I'm guessing I'm also the only person who's played that. But is that it? No. Here we go. Oh, it's tiny. How annoying. To me, like he just reminds me of Garrus from Mass Effect, who's a in Mass Effect the character development is much more sort of based on, like, you actually get to go up to and talk to the characters if you want to, or you can just completely ignore them and not talk to them at all. But if you talk to Garrus a lot, it's a character that I believe you can romance in, at least, is it Mass Effect or Mass Effect 2?
Definitely.
I don't think kissing him would be very practical.
Well, exactly. Like, it kind of really tests the limit of like what does it mean to have a crush on someone? Because when I said that I had a crush on that weird female cartoon character, Based Liz was sort of incredulous, thinking like, what does it mean to have a crush on someone that like you don't even want to have sex with, or don't even want to be in a relationship with? And like, it's kind of hard to describe, I think.
There's something about them that you want to become yourself, I think.
Yeah, to some extent, definitely.
I've heard similar things as well about like the Argonians from the Elder Scrolls series. People like finding them attractive, I guess.
I don't know that one. Are they like elves?
Skyrim?
The Argonians, they're like lizard people, like unironically.
Yeah, well, there's a name for that, like people who are furries, but for
Well, yeah, but
for
like
lizard people.
I've seen a divide between the ones that are into it because furry versus they're into it just because like the character looks cool and acts cool. I don't know.
Yeah, like having like a cool personality definitely goes a long way, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got. I'm looking at pictures. They look like weird fish lizard people. I can't believe I've never like heard of these before, because I haven't played the games at all. But I thought it would be like some kind of cultural osmosis. Like, I'd kind of get it.
It's
Let's
like
just
a
find one.
Guillermo del Toro film where the woman has a sort of relationship with a fish creature that's being held by the government,
yeah.
experimented on.
it's kind of like it's kind of like Beauty and the Beast again, but it's about but it's a lizard man.
I just can't even speak English.
And she's not deaf, but she's mute, and he's also similarly incommunicative. Is that right? I mean, he can't talk because he's got gills.
So long as he can sign the consent form.
He can nod. It's just I don't even know if this is really necessary.
You know, this is why I sent my pictures beforehand.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you had the right idea, didn't you? Yeah, honestly, it doesn't really matter. But since we're talking about it, when we were talking about online dating, there was something, that I think people have this idea of what their standards are, especially when they're like specifically asked to set up a series of filtering factors that would, you've got like thousands of people to choose from, and you've got to thin them out somehow. So you name these arbitrary cutoff things. But when you meet people in real life, like you meet new people. I don't know, like people are more social than me. Like, how many new people do you meet every year? Like actual face-to-face, like introduction, people you meet, like for the first time. Is it like 20? I want to say like you meet one every 2 weeks, but maybe I've got an awful social calendar. But when you only meet 20 people,
post-COVID.
Yeah, well,
yeah. I should note, I met David online on an online dating app, and we got married. So.
Did you have like do you remember what criteria you were choosing based on, like what you were eliminating based on?
Yes. I wanted someone who is very intelligent, and on his profile it said he was getting his PhD. So I'm like, okay, he's intelligent. It was a Catholic dating website, so it had criteria on the Catholic teaching, like do you agree with this teaching, this teaching, this teaching? So we kind of know if we're both serious about our faith, and we matched up there. And I thought he was attractive too. So I sent him a smiley face, and now we're married. So that was my criteria.
Well, that's great when it works out, I guess. But
yeah,
I think
criticized online dating, but obviously I met Alex online as well. So, but not on a dating site.
Yeah, I think meeting up on DMing on Twitter is it's a good way to fall in love. I do wonder about these people who meet through like niche internet communities, like people who watch my channel, or they just they both comment on the same thread, and then they end up following each other, and then they end up like DMing, and I do wonder like how. Maybe you can tell me this, Amy, but how far do you get into the relationship before you like need to see a picture of each other to even know if it's worth going forward? Because the dating profiles, it's like there's your photo. That's probably like the first filtering that you kind of apply by hand. But on Twitter, like people have all sorts of profiles and anime profile pictures. So I don't know like how often they meet and they go like, okay, I kind of like your personality and we seem to get on. I'm not even sure if you're male or female yet, but like if to ask is like to, are you single or like it's so weird, like the idea of meeting people online when you don't even know anything about them except that you think they're funny.
I think that there's a benefit to that as well, because if you meet someone online but behind like two anonymous profiles, you can obviously like say a lot more about yourself personally. Obviously like not your details, but who you are as a person, your true beliefs, without kind of having to like filter them. So I feel like that's how people find and like foster deep connections through like online like chatting communities and that kind of thing.
Weird. Oh, sorry, I just got a random message. Alex Jones, when he was young, was quite handsome. When he still had like all his hair and he wasn't so weird and chunky. Like that's definitely a weird crush. Especially. Oh, do we want to go for more of yours, Amy? Because we've already got we've already got them open. But I don't know if there's more to say about the online dating and that selection criteria and all that weird stuff. Yeah, there's a story. Well, I'm getting up Amy's next crush.
I think that with the like the weird crush thing was my suggestion for it as a topic was to like go through a sort of what would be considered weird crushes and say why you find them attractive, and the fact that these are unquantifiable things that women find attractive, and that it's not just about like height, muscle, salary, how popular you are, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's why I think it's something else I wanted to say about the weird crushes is that when there's a guy who has it all going for him in that kind of sense. I mean, back when I was single, this is more like less talking about fictional characters on on Star Trek, but more when I was actually looking around for guys. I wanted a boyfriend or whatever. I would usually like internally, completely automatically, just discount anyone who's like above a certain level of attractiveness. Just assume that they're like beyond my that they're not going to stoop to going out with me. Like I just assumed this guy would not like me, so I didn't even bother with it. So there was a kind of a weird sense in which I found myself more attracted to guys who I saw as more attainable, and I think a lot of guys don't really understand that. There are probably girls who've had crushes on them that they don't even. It goes the other way as well, but they're like, I think for most people, there are more people who have had a crush on you than you think. If that makes sense. People who like never knew about it because you never told them, or vice versa. Does that make sense?
You could be you could be married to those Giga Chads right now, Pearl.
Well, I'm sure they weren't Giga Chads. They were just like the most popular guy at my school who are only popular because like what's the weird criteria that that kids get popular at school for? There's guys who they were already having not sex but like sexual relationships with the girls they were with, and because I knew I didn't want that, I was also like, I'm not this guy. He's not gonna like stoop to dating me if he's not gonna get anywhere sexually with me. So what's even the point of trying? Also, it's just embarrassing. You know what it's like at school where, like, if you ask someone out, then everyone knows about it the next day, and you've just got to live with the shame of that.
I don't miss school.
Bloody school. I'm just trying to find. Okay, so this wasn't the next one, but I wanted to. This is Julian Barrett, the actor and comedian.
Yeah.
This is one of Amy's weird crushes. Was this? I've only seen him in the Mighty Boosh, so I didn't know if that was.
Well, so I picked him because the Mighty Boosh is a comedy show written by himself and Noel Fielding, and they kind of play extremely exaggerated versions of their own characters in the show. And so Noel Fielding is this like happy-go-lucky, he's popular, everything goes right for him, he's young, he's fashionable, he's kind of good-looking. And then Julian Barrett's character is the opposite. Like he's like into jazz, he's no one, like everyone automatically hates him. He's not considered attractive. And he's kind of like this weird sort of, just everything goes wrong for him. And I think that like Julian Barrett's like ability, like to laugh at himself in that way is extremely attractive. And that I think that if that inability to do that, to be like brittle and to be extremely proud is an example of like extreme vulnerability. And I think that Julian Barrett's like, although he was playing this like extremely like beta male, he was like exaggerating those aspects of himself, and it made for fantastic comedy. Like it was essentially his breakthrough role, and I think that that's like a really attractive quality in a man.
Would you call it humbleness or?
I would say like to an extent it is humbleness. Yeah, it's the opposite of narcissism. It's like and I think that it displays like a self assuredness in oneself.
Yeah, I think I don't particularly agree with you in this particular sense, but I think I can think of times when I've seen a guy being like vulnerable, where it feels like their mask has slipped a little bit, and they've they've done something wrong, or they've laughed at themselves, or or even when they like get slightly frustrated and you hear them swear when we never heard them swear before or something. There's something kind of endearing about that is much more. It kind of makes you like them compared to someone who's always got their best face on, who they're presenting their best selves all the time. Where someone who someone who's a bit fake. When you think that people are being fake, it's just completely unattractive. Where you can see like how much they're holding back or how much they're like pretending to be interested in the conversation, when really you just want to see them do something a bit goofy or like spill their drink or something.
Yeah, it's like a desire to be liked, a desire for popularity and to be accepted by society and to fit in. I think are really can be extremely unattractive qualities in men.
I think you're right about that. Do you want to do your? Did I write down some more? I wrote down Snufkin, who's weirdly one that we've talked about before, from the Moomins.
So is your type just not human?
Snufkin's a human.
He's a character. He's a not a character. He's a cartoon.
He's fictional.
He's a cartoon.
Well, no one in real life could be
drawing.
that. He's so transcendently chill. Like nobody could be that level of cool all the time. The weird thing is that I haven't even seen the Moomins that much. But I'm not even going to put a picture of him because he's a cartoon character and there's absolutely nothing attractive about the actual way that he's drawn at all, except that he's like vaguely human and male. But he's just so chilled out. Like it feels like really nothing bothers him. He never feels like shame or regret or awkwardness. It's just like it's just cool to be around. I think you kind of feel like you could just sit in silence and watch the stars with him for like an hour, and you wouldn't feel awkward about it.
I'm sort of seeing a bit of a pattern, though. It's almost like a man who is attractive and who's high status and desirable is a man who is able to command the respect of everyone around him, and that usually is like the not narcissistic, being confident, knowing who they are, being fair, having good reputation. I don't always think it's linked to money either, because I know a lot of men, especially being Catholic, like priests, they don't have any scent to them. They're sexually unavailable, I think, and they have a bunch of women still swooning over them because of how they carry themselves, because of the respect that they get. So do you kind of see that with a lot of your crushes you get? Like there's an air about them where they're not so needy, but they kind of demand your respect a little bit just by how they carry themselves,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I think that but like what Amy said, like that need to be liked by others is kind of unattractive. And like even if a guy is like really unlikable or just kind of weird, just to be like fully embody that and just dive right into it and just like, this is me, this is what I like, I don't really care if you like me or not. That would be more attractive than the opposite, which is like, I've spent hours curating this online profile that makes me look perfect because because that's something I care about.
Yeah, even it's like a real life profile.
Yeah, well, yeah, even that.
It's like because the shallow men really lack a sense of self, and when there's no sense of self, there's really nothing juicy to dig into there. So.
Do you guys like it when this isn't like a real life thing, but do you guys like it when a guy's got like a hobby?
Yes.
They're really into.
Yeah.
I saw a tweet the other day from one of these like right wing women blogs. It just said, "Don't you just love it when a guy talks about World War II for 45 minutes?"
It's great.
That's why I picked Ray Mears, because he's got this like completely weird artistic fascination with just sort of like building a little hut out of sticks and like sitting in it and fishing. And I think that like that kind of like really sort of like the way he's got like this hobby that he's like he's fixated on that is like extremely practical and extremely creative at the same time. And that's like, I think that's like extremely attractive that women. I think that's an extremely masculine trait, and it's like a little bit artistic, which is also like a good thing.
David is going to kill me for doing this. He's going to kill me for doing this. Ooh. Do you see this?
Sorry, I'm looking at Ray Mears. Go on.
Okay, it's okay.
Oh, miniatures. You're looking at miniatures? Yeah. I was about to mention miniatures. Yeah.
Warhammer. David loves Warhammer, hours and hours on Warhammer, talking about it, painting. I find it very endearing. I don't know why he's embarrassed by it. I think it's kind of sexy.
Well, we haven't even mentioned who David is, so even though
sorry.
us on the panel know who you're talking about, you don't have to reveal it if you don't want to.
It's all right. The only reason why I'm of any consequence, I'm married to a YouTuber called The Distributist. Moderately large channel, sort of conservative or reactionary kind of guy. So that's it. That's my husband.
Well, just for anyone watching who wants to be on Women's Hour, being a person of consequence is not a requirement for being on the show.
Okay. All right, good to know.
Having a channel or like a big Twitter or a blog or anything, like I'll just literally have anyone. As long as you're female, that's the only requirement to be on. It's like the ultimate diversity hire, inclusivity program. Like just be female, you can come on. And as long as I can be pretty sure that you're not going to like rat me out to to my boss or anything.
Sure.
But yeah, so yeah, Mrs. Distributist, I'd call you.
Okay.
Yeah, but
it's fine.
Coming back to Warhammer, one of the before we ever went on like a date or anything, I remember I met my husband in a game shop with a big like Warhammer table, where we took my friends like gathered around and like had chats and stuff. So that's how we met. And I remember him like teaching. He was just painting some terrain on the table, not one of the miniatures, but just the like broken up bits of wall or whatever. And he taught me how to do the how to paint the shadows and then how to paint the highlights on it. And it wasn't like the Ghost, it wasn't like he was holding my hand and like making me do the brush or anything. It was nothing explicitly romantic about what was going on, but it was just a cool little moment where I really didn't care about painting miniatures or about that, but the fact that he liked it and that he was good at it was just really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is it?
Oddly enough, the reason why Panama Hat and I got to where we are now is because of his profile picture. We met, we added each other, and I noticed that his profile picture was like a country ball kind of art thing, and I'm like, is he like secretly based or something? And so I'm like, is that like from like the YouTuber Crow, or is it, because I know that was like the only person that I knew that used like country balls at the time. He's like, no, it's my channel, and yeah, cool. And then we got talking, and now we're engaged.
That's really interesting.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. I was
Thank
talking
you.
to Amy because I came to politics through my husband, who I guess got into it because he was interested in like history. Let's get rid of Amy's. Just sort of studying politics and history and stuff. I like came to it through all the memes and stuff like made it look really fun, and I started getting into like reading the books that he was giving me and stuff. So I always learned I learned all of this stuff that I talk about on my channel or on Women's Hour, and all my like political opinions are kind of secondhand hand-me-downs from him to some extent. Although of course, I do have my own intellectual life to some extent, but the point is that I kind of assumed that all right-wing women are the same way, where it's just a case of like which man in your life has passed down this knowledge to you. So it was kind of a surprise when Amy said it wasn't that way for her, and now Helen, you're saying that that's not how it happened with you either.
Mm-mm.
Well, I underestimated women once again. Due to my own inadequacies.
I wanted to have a relationship in which I knew for certain that there were certain like thresholds that the man just would not cross. One of them was like a certain medical treatment that's been popular over the last like few years, and then having certain views on certain decisions children can make is that even people who say they're conservative still say that they have these still have like it's choice. It's okay, it's just choice. And I just wanted to be with someone who I knew had the same values as me, who I knew would like say that is a line that I will never cross.
In the olden days of AA's channel, when I was first a panelist on Unpopular Opinions, I got sent this a test for the political compass test, where you had to like land within a certain quadrant in order to just be let into the Discord server so that I could be on the show. And like I just imagine Amy sending that to all the guys who like DM on her on Twitter. And she goes like sends them the test and goes like, you must land in this quadrant or this conversation cannot continue.
Well, I guess like obviously I am in a relationship with Alexander Adams. And he, he's got an extensive, he writes for a living, right? He writes and he does interviews on the things that he writes. And so, I it's a lot easier when you've got an extensive like Google history search.
Well, I think for that reason, I think Twitter is a much better dating site than something like OkCupid, because you see, if you're curious about someone, you might read like 50 of their tweets, or just go through their feed and read the last 50 random thoughts that they've put on the internet, or a blog indeed, before you even see what their face is. So it's more conducive to a kind of intellectual relationship in that sense, kind of what we were saying earlier. But I definitely recommend, like, if you like someone on Twitter, like just DM them. Like, you're not going to lose anything. If it's if it's so embarrassing, you can just end up blocking them so that you don't have to. If you never want to see them again, you don't have to. Although I think I don't know if this is the case for you, Amy, but I think often people end up in relationships when they meet online. If it's not a dating site, they end up in a relationship with someone who lives like in a different country or like hours away in the same country, where in that sense it is like a strong filter for it filters for that intellectual connection that I'm talking about, where if you can't maintain a good conversation over the phone, then that relationship's really not going anywhere. So it does sort of force you to have this more serious relationship, but it can be difficult.
Although I would say like meet up as soon as possible, because like you don't want to waste time if you just meet up and you just like you don't find them attractive. You've just wasted time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as long as you're like a grown up about it, I think the thing about long distance relationships is that when you meet up, it's like there's a kind of tendency to want to like stay the night over at the other person's. You want to wait until it's serious enough that you can get a free plate. Even if you're just staying on their sofa or whatever. It's like somehow more serious, where ideally you'd want to just be in the neighborhood for a different reason, and you just end up seeing them. But that's going a lot off topic. I wanted to go for let's just read the super chats quickly so that people have an opportunity to top the bids if they want to. Highest bid currently is from Parisia. I still don't know how to say that. What do you think about moderately sized age gaps in serious relationships? Seems like there's an increased stigma lately. People view the male as exploitative, even if it's an adult woman. Seems underrated. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I don't know. I've been seeing these these like posts around lately of like it's not just a case of if you're both 18, that's it. You're both adults. It's like if the guy's 30 and he's dating a 20-year-old, like that's a big like problem almost. I don't know if you guys have a is it like half your age plus 7, or is it just anything goes above 18? What do you guys think?
I think a consenting adult is a consenting adult, but then there's a discussion of what is a consenting adult. Where do we wiggle the number there? I mean, I think like a 19-year-old with a 50-year-old would be kind of creepy. We could judge that, but if it's legal, we should probably just mind our own business, I think.
I think the attempt to create, I think the age differences between men and women are completely, women being younger, men being older is completely normal. And it has been that way throughout the majority of history. And I think the attempt to get rid of that through public pressure, and also through, just shoving, socializing children together on a daily basis in school. Children of the kids are essentially, schools are mixed sex, right? When they never used to be. And I think that there's an attempt to create like this, it's essentially an attempt to create an artificial equality between the genders, because it seems like it seems like you're more equal, when you're in your like teens and 20s than it is when you reach a later age. But you spend most of your life not being 25. You spend most of your life being older. And I think that attempt to with women maturing slightly quicker than men, I think it's an attempt to enforce equality in relationships and create this idea that you need to be best friends, which isn't, I don't think is the case. I think is the wrong approach to relationships.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say that basically what an adult woman is, or I guess rather should be seeking in a man, is the ability to be taken care of, the ability for him to provide an environment where she's comfortable, where their future children are comfortable. And a 20-year-old woman may be seeking that, but a 20-year-old man may not be financially enough up the ladder in order to provide that. So I guess what the super chat was saying is that, and what Amy was kind of saying as well, and Helen, that I feel it's a natural kind of separation. Each of the partners in a relationship are providing a different thing, and it just so happens that, especially in this economy, that in order to provide stability and therefore in an environment where a family is able to thrive, you do need to be a bit older.
And a moral environment as well, the ability to take lead, and to have authority and to guide. A male my age, I'm 26, will have been through exactly a considerably more amount of indoctrination into the sort of social beliefs that our age holds than it still would be around for men in their 30s and 40s and 50s, but it would have been considerably less so. And if they can prove that they're able to denounce that in the long term, I think that also provides security.
Yeah, I think absolutely everything that the panel said, but also for anyone who hasn't seen the post, the super chat I was talking about, I think I've seen the ones he's talking about where I think women are getting a bit toasty about the fact that that they believe that men get into a relationship with a woman because for some kind of intellectual stimulation, for kind of friendship, like a peer-to-peer relationship, when I guess it's the sad truth is that men are primarily more interested in the sort of physical side of a relationship. So the fact that he's still interested in a woman who's 18, 19, 20 when he's it could be 30 or 40, kind of indicates he's only interested in her for the physical characteristics, which I don't know, that might be kind of true. The idea, what do women offer men in terms of intellectual stimulation anyway? Whether she's 40 or 30 or 20, I think it's probably not that it's not as important to men as women would like to think.
This was a difficult pill for me to swallow, because I always thought I needed to be intellectually interesting for a man in order for a man to like me. And I may have tried a little too hard, jokes or topics and things like that, because I do find intellectual discussion interesting, but I didn't realize that men looking for a partner really didn't want that. I don't know if you've heard of Millennial Lowe's, but he said they want women to be attractive, sane, supportive, and not a bitch. That's it. So, yeah. I mean, that's pretty simple, and I think it's difficult for me to accept how simple a man's needs are when it comes to a woman as well. So, yeah,
I saw Zuby said, the podcast, the Zuby. He got loads of women mad on Twitter saying men want a woman who is young, fit, and sweet. I think maybe the sweet got people upset, and he was going like, "What? You trying to get a man by being fat, old, and mean?" Like, obviously, like when you put it that way, it's like obviously men aren't looking for a woman that's that. But I think I don't know where I got this idea. I had exactly like you, Helen. I kind of for a while I embarrassed myself by trying to be really like cool and interesting, you know, and like using swear words and like, oh, I'm not like other girls. Like I've got like cool hobbies and like please like me.
Well, I was trying to be what I found attractive in a man, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely
My mum
would
always
recommend that.
told me that men don't want women that are more intelligent than them. I kind of feel like that's like good advice to give your daughter.
I feel like that's I had a similar experience as well because whenever I would speak with my peers, like men especially in like our co-ed schools, I would always feel that I was like intellectually superior because of the reason, like you just said, that you're trying to become equal to what you want from that relationship with a potential man, you know. That's a very interesting way that you put it. I like that. I wrote that down.
We have a super chat from Sir David. Sorry, I was going to say David Garnett. Sir Garnett for £12, which is so far our winning bid, unless someone is going to top him in the next few minutes. Thoughts on Mary Whitehouse and what she campaigned for? Thank you very much for that. We should be doing that after next week's one with Red Hawk. We're going to have plenty of time to do research. I really want to thoroughly rinse this topic and give Mary Whitehouse the fair shake that she's deserved after all these years of being hammered down into obscurity and a subject of derision by people like the Britisher. And so, yeah, I think I'm looking forward to that. We're going to research it properly. And thank you very much for that super chat, unless someone wants to send in a more expensive one. Since you did already request this topic with another super chat, I'm going to count this as a winner, even if it's not the winner. So thank you very much, Sir Garnett. Coming up to the end of the show, I just wanted to encourage everyone to go and watch my video from yesterday, which was about what Mary, I'm not going to say Whitehouse, Mary Harrington calls reactionary feminism, which is a movement that that I'd like to be a part of. Although I'm not calling myself a feminist, but anyway, it's a video about motherhood, about community, about what was been lost in progress, the illusion of progress, I think is what Mary Harrington calls it. And please go and see that if you haven't already, if you somehow missed it. It's been a very well received video. I think I did well with it. So anything else? Helen, you have a channel. I've left a link to it in the description. Sorry, there is also a link to the video I made in the description of this video. It's called Latest Video. Just go and click on that if you haven't seen it yet. Likewise, if you want to click on Amy's channel or Helen's channel, what kind of thing can we expect to see on your channel, Helen?
It's the Distributist and I playing video games. It's he and I discussing recent events. A few of my own videos discussing dating, like Canadian culture. I'm Canadian, that sort of thing. It's not terribly serious.
Great, love it. You may have gathered this podcast is not terribly serious.
It's all right. It's been fun.
Yeah. Well, I hope you'll join us again next week, Helen, because I was hoping to have you on with our friend Ali Drummond, who's going to talk to us about submitting to your husband, which is something we touched on in this, about age gaps and about the wisdom of older men in a relationship and in a marriage particularly. That's going to be our subject next week, so please everyone tune in for that. And Helen, you're very much welcome on there, because I'd like to get the point of view of another married woman. Not that our unmarried ladies don't have something to contribute as well, but it's since the subject is married, I especially would like you to join then if you can. I know you have a child, so subject to nap times and that sort of thing.
Yes, correct.
Anything else from Amy to check out?
Nothing
Cows?
to show now.
No, not this week.
Great. Well, then I think, like last week, I'm going to end with a little bit of music so everyone in the chat can say goodbye to each other. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope we'll see you next week. Have a good night, everyone.